Hello everyone and welcome to this broadcast from insightsoftware.com. My name is John Brooks and I work for the Insight London office. We're going to spend about half an hour today just talking about some of the newer features that have come out in the last year or so of the Insight product releases. So some of you may have seen Insight in the past, you may have seen it at a trade show or maybe had a demo in the past, and you're wondering what have those guys been up to for the last couple of years. How's the product moved on? Is there anything useful there that could really change how I use JDE Edwards and how my users get the most out of their JDE Edwards system? So I want to introduce you to this new product name. It's called InsightUnlimited, and it covers more than just reporting, which many of you might think is what we do. It actually goes a lot further than that now. So we've spent half an hour talking about InsightUnlimited for JDE Edwards. We've been very busy. We've had a number of new releases. We come out with the release at least once or twice a year, a major release, and we have other releases in between, service packs and such. So there's a lot to get through. I'll go through them. We'll have an opportunity at the end to ask questions, so type them into the little box at the side of the screen. We may have time to go through some or all of the questions. If we don't get through them all, then we'll make sure we email you back afterwards with the appropriate answers for your questions. So I'll try and point out where we've had some major improvements to software, and also highlight the things that are brand new in the last couple of releases. So the Insight Unlimited suite is made up of Insight Reporting. We've had this for quite a while. It was the foundation of the company and the product, being able to get real-time access to JDE Edwards data, real-time withdrawal data, detailed data is up to you. What we've done since then, we've added on Insight Reconciler, Insight Budgeting, and Insight Quick Start with the Designer tool. So these are some new areas we're going to cover with some slides today, and hopefully some live software at the end if time allows. And we'll also talk about our new award as well. We're actually voted the most innovative product by the Oracle Users Group. So we're very pleased with that award. It was voted for by customers of JDE Edwards like yourselves, and they voted Insight the most innovative product of the year. So I'm delighted to get that one. So let's talk about how sort of broad the product has become. What's the areas of JDE Edwards we're now covering? This screen has lots and lots of little boxes on there. Each one of them corresponds to an area of JDE Edwards that we now cover. And what I'm going to do now is just highlight the ones that have come out in the last 18 months or so. So you can see lots of new additions, from a complete new budgeting system through to things like the Designer tool, warehouse management, CRM, capital asset management, as well as things like reconciliation, scheduler, integration with Q software, etc. So lots of new areas to cover in JDE Edwards. Certainly now we've got the Designer tool, it means we can do all of your standard JDE Edwards modules, but we can work over your customizations as well. So complete coverage for on-demand inquiries for all of JDE Edwards. The product has grown an awful lot. So let's talk about some of those partner integrations. So three we'll quickly talk about. We kept finding that customers who had Insight one of these products as well, so we wanted to have integration with them. So we've actually developed integrations with ARC tools, so your archiving and purging. If you're already using ARC tools, you'll be able to run your Insight reports now with some integration. DocuSphere, handling document imaging, document linking, that's now supported out of the box with Insights on your reports. And Q software, so a lot of people use Q software to simplify their JDE Edwards security center for user management and segregation of duties. If you've got the new version of Q software, Insight is your reporting tool of choice. We actually deliver a whole bunch of Q software reports out of the box, so you'll be able to have easily access all of your Q software data, drill down on it, see your exceptions, etc. So more and more we're covering an ever wider part of the JDE Edwards experience. Language support. So for a little while now, we've supported French, German, Italian, and Spanish. And what we've done is we've actually added on Portuguese, both Brazilian and Portuguese, Japanese, and simplified Chinese. So we've got now more languages supported in the product. For a long time now, we've had the Insight Power users, and this is what you'll have, if you've ever seen a demo, this is what you've seen us use to build new reports from scratch. You'll see us adding columns and adding calculations and controlling pivoting and things like that. So Power users build new reports. And what they do is then they publish those reports to console users. And console users can run the reports, they can interact with the data, they can drill down, they can go to links. They're using all of that content created by the power users. But what we did is we added a new user type, and they're called the Insight Designer. And the Insight Designer can completely start a new template. They could say, I want to include some standard JDE Edwards data and some custom JDE Edwards data, or data from multiple JDE Edwards systems. We'll go through a couple of examples. So a brand new user type lets you get even deeper into building new templates. Once those templates are built, then the power users and console users can take advantage of them. But the Insight Design user, they're going a little deeper. So you may have seen one of these screens before. This is a power user screen. It has lots of filters at the top. It has a whole bunch of options on the ribbon to let you add and design and create new features on your report. You'll see the data grid, and you'll see charting and things like that. And once it's published, it will go to the console user. The console user gets a similar looking report, but you'll notice there's less filters. Only the filters they really need are on the screen. You can control what they see. A lot less tabs in the ribbon across the top. And the whole thing looks like a white piece of paper. You can still drill down and interact with the data. Now here's the new one, Insight Designer. You actually get to choose your database tables. You get to choose which views you're looking at. You get to choose how they're joined together, how they integrate together. Once you've done that, you can then go into the power user mode and start building your columns and your calculations and choosing your filters on top of the screen. And you can end up with something like this. Now this is an example from a customer. It's of a stock report. They have a situation where their stock has expiry dates on there. They needed data from inventory, from purchasing. They needed a summary of the last 6 months from the sales file to see how much was being sold on and how much they expected to sell. And from that they could work out, did they have too much stock in, and with the likelihood that some stock will go out of date, or not enough stock. Now before they had this Insight Designer report, they were having to take 6 different data dumps into a spreadsheet and try and merge that data together. They've now got one live view. It's almost like an MRP system in one report. You've got one view of all that data. So you've got some integration in a different way of the standard JDE tables through Insight Designer. And then they put some nice little conditional formatting on the end of that to highlight the things to make the data pop out of the screen and show you what you need to focus on. So Insight Designer, you can join your custom JDE tables, you can join your standard JDE tables together. We've got customers who have more than one instance of JDE Edwards. A good example would be a customer who had one version of JDE Edwards in the US and they had a different version in Europe. But they wanted to see a combined report. Insight Designer can allow you to do things like that. Even if they were, in this case, they were on different versions of JDE Edwards. You can join tables outside of JDE Edwards. So it might be a table you bring in the data using a database view to bring in that external data. So it might be data on things like delivery information or something from a manufacturing or plant system. And you get to combine JDE Edwards data in new ways. An example of that would be the report we just looked at with data from inventory, purchasing, and sales all combined onto one easy-to-use screen with drill down. So we call this the InsightUnlimited Quick Start, being able to actually quickly get to the data using our standard templates and having the design tools to bring new things together. Something else that's brand new, the Insight Community Portal. This has been around now for about 6 months. It's accessed through the front end of the Insight tool when you log in, and to be honest, it's growing faster than we ever thought. It's a place where we now put all of our training guides and materials and the how-tos and videos. So gone are the days where you just get a great big manual and you sit down with the manual. You can now access live interactive product help and how-to guides. So if I want to know how to build a calculation, there's probably a video on there to help me to do it. There'll be an exercise I can follow through from one of the training books. It's all on there. But the best bit for me about the community portal is the fact it's a great way of sharing real inquiries. So there's over 500 reports on there for look today, 542 today. Reports are available for me to download. So if I want a fixed asset schedule, if I want a really cool inventory by status report, if somebody's already built one of those, I can just download it and run it on my Insight system. So it's a great way of not having to start reports from scratch. You can download really nice reports other people have written. And the community is growing. As more and more customers upgrade to our new releases, they're getting access to the community portal larger and larger. So that's a growing part of what we do. Speed. We've always been known as being really fast. Typically, the Insight reports will go 15 to 25 times faster than the equivalent report from JDE Edwards. That's the kind of figures our customers tell us. So what we've done is we looked at how can we make it even faster. Well, something that a number of people have asked for is single sign-on. So if your user ID is recognized from Windows, it can just log you straight into Insight without needing another user ID and password. Gets you online into the system faster. The actual reports themselves, we've changed the way they're stored. They open twice as fast. So if you're opening, especially a wide area network or your large report, just gets onto that screen so much faster. The whole area of budget submissions, if you're using Insight budgeting to control how you collect the data for your next budget cycle, that's got a lot faster now. The whole way it processes and writes data back, 30% faster than it was before. And if I look at the Insight Designer, well, those reports, the way the calculations are stored and written, they're now up to 70% faster. So where you've got subtotals and sorting going on, then all of those can run up to 70% faster than the previous version. So some major speed improvements on the Insight Designer tool. And we also have a new 64-bit architecture. So we have a 32-bit version of the product and we have a 64-bit version of the product. So when you're running really large inquiries over large data sets, you now have more memory available in Windows 64-bit to process those. So we're seeing a lot of people are now getting a lot more RAM on their servers and their PCs and want to run some bigger reports over bigger data sets. The 64-bit version will absolutely allow you to take maximum advantage of the memory on your machine. So here's some other things you've asked for. Links to web pages and documents. So we've added that in. So before with Insight, you could always drill down. You could drill down from your summary information to your detailed information, or you could drill from GL to AR, or from AR to sales order processing, or sales processing of inventory. But now you can also add to things like web links, URLs, and also scanned documents. So, for example, we've got customers who now have their scanned invoices available on Network Drive, and they'll actually just double-click on the row in Insight to open up that image, or to open up a web page. So that's pretty cool. That's something people have wanted for quite a while. So that's now in the product. So if you haven't seen a recent demo of Insight, you won't have seen that feature. In inventory, in sales order processing, in purchasing, we've added something called automatic unit of measure conversion. So if you've got some products that you sell in eaches, in boxes, in cases, in pallets, well, before it was always a struggle in JDE Edwards and anything else to work out how many of an item you actually had, because you had different units of measure for each sort of item. That problem's now been taken care of. You now just say at the top of the report, there's a drop-down box to say, I want to see how much of this is in cases or eaches or boxes, and Insight will calculate the correct conversion to give you a total at the bottom, to give you an accurate figure. Quarter to date. A lot of finance teams want to do quarter to date processing. It's a new type of accounting period that's now supported in the Insight GL ledger. So it's if you go to the GL module, you'll see the quarter to date features are now there. Really cool feature driven by customer demand. Summary detail. Before, if you'd had a look at Insight, you'd have seen summary reports and you'd have seen detail reports. Well, what we've done now is we've added a nice feature that means you can create less reports. Because what we've done is we've now got a checkbox at the top of the screen that says, do I want to see this report in summary form or detail form? And if you just check the box, it will just either hide all the rows of data and just show the subtotals, or it'll show you everything. And the good news is it doesn't have to rerun the data. It doesn't have to go back to the database to get that second version. So I can, if I think about how I want to create my reports, I can give someone a summary and detail report on one page. It saves a lot of time, both in creating and in running reports. Query by example. Standard feature for a power user in Insight, now standard feature for a console user. So on every console report, you can just check a box to say, should the user get query by example on this inquiry or not? So completely up to the power user if they get it, but a great new addition to console. And another advantage or another upgrade for console is the sorting feature. So the user can just click on the column they want and sort it, whether it's an alpha column or a number column. They can now control the sorting of their screen. So again, if the power user allows them to have greater flexibility in their reports. So that's a nice new feature, really enhances what a console user can do and reduces the number of reports that may need to be built. So things that people have been asking for in demos and customers have been asking for that we've now added into the new version. The last one is scheduler. So if you need to run a report and email it out, then that can be done straight to the product. And that could be a spreadsheet or a PDF. Great way of distributing data to maybe people who are on the road or who don't need to log into Insight, just need to have a PDF summary or pack of reports sent. Insight budgeting. So let's talk about Insight budgeting for a second. There's a real problem in JDE Edwards that it's so tedious and painful to get your budgets in that not everyone holds their data in JDE Edwards. Insight budgeting looks to address that problem. So what we do is we give you an easy way to input your new budget numbers. It's via the Insight screens, and that doesn't matter if you're a power user or a console user. You can input the new numbers, and you can put in your budgets, your forecasts, into a variety of different activities. You can then analyze those numbers. You can see those numbers either at a very detailed level or consolidated at a high level, maybe by company or business unit or by category code, and you can start to see what do the new budget and forecast numbers look like. Are they going to do they meet with our guidelines? And then they can either get approved or rejected. So this whole thing's email-based. So you get emails saying your budget cycle is now open. An email saying John has submitted his budget. Please go to the approval screen. And once approved, if you want to send the data, click upload of the approved budgets into JDE Edwards. This is having a massive difference for the JDE Edwards sites that are using InsightUnlimited budgeting in how they control, how they run, even down to how often they do budgeting. It might be something that budgeting and forecasting takes so long at the moment, you can only do it once a year or maybe want to do it more frequently, but you just can't do it because it's such a slow, tedious process. Well, with Insight, we're looking to do all of your budgeting in one place, and that. So the goal is to actually reduce your budgeting cycle times. We've had customers reduce it by 70%. We've had people say, people who've done monthly budgeting, to save a week every single month. You're going to get less hassle, fewer errors, because all the data is coming through approved. There's no spreadsheet madness going on. You'll be able to budget more frequently if you want to. And the great part is budgeting works on top of Insight. So once you've got Insight, you can go live on budgeting in a few days. And it is the only tool on the marketplace that is purpose-built for JDE Edwards. And it brings together your JDE Edwards system and your budgeting processes onto one screen in a very controlled, easy-to-use way. So the only tool on the marketplace specifically designed for JDE Edwards. Okay, let's move on to Reconciler. So this is a big part of Insight Unlimited. The Insight Reconciler, it takes 5 of your most common subsystems and say, do they balance to the general ledger? But it does it in a much smarter, easier to use, intuitive way than reports or by copying data into spreadsheets. So we've got the 5 most common areas covered. So goods received not vouchered, accounts payable, accounts receivable, fixed assets, and the card inventory. So, and if you look at these areas, in all of these areas we have the same kind of process flow. So what we've done is we've given you a whole bunch of tools to help with the preparation. You've got Insight Master Data to help you clean up the system before you even start this. We're going to check that your AAIs are correct, that your branches are set up the right way, that your business units, your CAT codes, your object accounts all have the right category codes on them. So if you've got a cleaner system with better master data, you're going to get less errors anyhow. Once the preparation work is done, and the example I've got on the screen here is accounts receivable to general ledger, we'll give a very high-level variance report. This will be summarized at company level. So we'll say, does this company have a variance? You'll have one column on the screen saying, this is my total AR number. The next column is my total GL number. The last column is the variance calculation. So if a company in JDE Edwards doesn't have a variance, they won't show up on the list. It's an exception report. Once you've got that exception report, you can then drill down. You might want to see a summary of the problems or detail down to batches and documents. And of course, from there being insights, you can drill all the way down to any of the transactional screens, whether that's GL, invoices, or receipts in this case. So you start off by running a very simple report. Say, do I have a problem? And drill down to the details. And the real goal of InsightUnlimited Reconciler is to actually get to the root problem and fix them. And because if you fix the problems, you stop them coming back next month. And the goal is to make it so simple, you'll run this every week or even every day. Now, the thought of reconciliations every day would be a nightmare with the standard JDE reports. With Insight, we make it easy. And of course, if you fix the errors on the first day of the month, you don't have to wait until the end of the month to find out, yet you have 30 days where things were getting posted to the wrong places. So it's solving the root cause of the problem. That's what Insight Reconciler is designed for. So, where is Insight today? We support all JDE versions from World A7 all the way through to Enterprise 1 9.1. So all of the World versions out there and all of the Enterprise 1 versions out there. Yeah, if you're on D7332, give us a call. We've got a version that will absolutely run on your data. And if you're planning an upgrade, Insight is the best tool to help you on an upgrade. Why is that? Because you can run the same report before and after the upgrade. So you can check the data conversion works. You can check that the numbers are the same. Auditors will like it. It's a really useful tool during a JDE upgrade. We've got over 750 JDE customers around the world. I mean, that's many hundreds or thousands of sites using Insight today. And we're adding a new one roughly every 3 working days. So the customer list is continuing to grow, and in fact the rate is accelerating as the Insight Unlimited product gets more depth and breadth. We're adding more and more customers. So it covers 30 standard JDE modules. With Designer, it covers your custom tables and multiple systems, and we support some of the leading JDE add-ons out of the box. And the best bit is it's one suite of products. It's not different products that have been assembled from different places or acquired by us. We've built all these. It's one product, one interface, one admin tool, one setup. It's one user ID logging in. It's a fully integrated single suite of products. And as I said earlier, we were delighted when we won the most innovative product of the year by the UK Oracle User Group. So there's just a few logos to put onto the screen of some of our customers. And what I'm going to do now is just going to have a look and see if any questions have been posed by any of the people watching today. So let's have a look at this. Okay. All right, I've got a couple of questions. The first one is, are all of the things you talked about available today? Yes. The answer to that is yes. The current version of Insight is called Insight 2012.2. There will be a 2013.1 coming out this year. But all of the features I've talked about today are already out, available today. You can get them today. We'll be doing another webinar in the summer about the 2013 version, I'm sure. But everything I've talked about today is live and available today. Next one. How does the linking work? Okay, I can show that. So we added this new feature, and if I go and have a look at, say, one of these reports, if I go and open a report, what we do is allow you to create links based on the data that's in the grid row that you're working on. So let's have a look at this, for example. So I've got a report here. These are my top 10 suppliers, sorted by how much the open orders with them, so the open orders column. And what I can see here is in my top 10 report, I've got this supplier, they're called Circle Software. They're my primary supplier. They've got 120 million open with them. If I right mouse click on them, you see I've got options to drill down to see things like payment details, GL transactions, or here's one that's been added that's called What Are the Invoices? And if I click on that link, what I'll see is all of the invoices in detail for Circle Software. And so what I've got here is I've got things like document type, document number. I know the supply number already. So this will, in this case, this will try and link off and link to a network location and try and find a scanned image for PV128. So if I just right mouse click on that, you can see I can go to payment details, transactions, or show me the PDF. So there I can see the actual invoice as it was sent to us and scanned onto the system. So if you've got DocuSphere, you'll get a more advanced integration. We can DocuSphere. If you haven't got DocuSphere, this is just going to work by going to network locations or web addresses, passing parameters from the grid row that you click on. Okay, we've got a question. Someone said, can I see this on my own data? Yes, absolutely. If you want to see this Insight running on your own data, we can absolutely cater for that. It takes about an hour to install. There's a prerequisite document that we send you, and the prerequisite document, send that back to us, and we'll just schedule a time for our support team to get on a overhead meeting just like this, and install the software along with you, and just try it on your own data, see what the performance is like, try the drill downs, try various modules, things like that. So yeah, absolutely, you can see this running on your own data if you want to. So that's covered the questions that we have. So I'd like to thank you for joining us today. If you want to